we all agree now, at least on this panel, we need the galaxy. And we all know why we need the galaxy also. But what is that need to be done? We also a little bit touched upon the challenges. In particular, I want you to know, each one of you, I would like to hear from you about the land that needs to be yet purchased. What are your thoughts on that? The DDPs that needs to be made. You are an integral part of ATDC right now. What is your thought on that? And third aspect is, how do we ensure the green belt is secured? Yeah. Sreevatsa, if you can throw in some more pearls of wisdom.
Pearls of wisdom regarding what?
Just like that, I don't know how you came up with that previous one. And also, if you can throw some light on NTDA, I know we have worked also while we were together in TDC.
See, I don't know, it's been a year or something, nearly a year since I've been out of TTC. But it has been I would say it's quite an interesting thing, because now I'm having that opportunity to look from outside, From outside, actually, I've seen from inside. From outside, especially what it means, there are two layers which I'm seeing. One is about actually, manifesting Auroville. The other one is, how do we fit in the outside world, in the context of the outside world? See, like I said, Tamil Nadu is a very urbanized state. It's the second most urbanized state, I think. And you have a governance structure, you have a system of administration, and usually the government defines what it is. And here we have taken that role of defining who we are to the government. But then how do we explain to it? The easiest way would be is to work within their framework. Now, if you see, master plan is something when I was in TDC also, the common thing is why wasn't it much better? This element was missing, that element was missing. I see it in a completely different way. Actually, what we did was we went and we identified ourselves to a certain governance structure outside, and they have a certain framework, they have a certain language. And it's not our job to go and define, to ask them to change how they do administration. So they have a system, it might be rudimentary, it might be complex, that's not our job. But I think it's important that that we have this handshake with them. Tell them, look, we are here, we are existing, we are the so-and-sos. Now what are the layers you have? These are your layers, fine. We take into these things. But we are much more than these layers. But they don't have that option, so we can only answer what layers they have. So we have answered it I think that's what the master plan, more than for us, it actually helps us to identify ourselves collectively to the outside world. What stops us from tomorrow if we don't have a master plan? We are just one big real estate, the biggest landowner. That's it. There's nothing else for the government. There's no definition of spiritual town anywhere in the law book or anything, as far as I know, or in the Tamil Nadu Town and Country Planning Act does not say what a spiritual town is, and there's no blessings given for that separately, right? So an industrial town and spiritual town, everything is all people look at it into an institutional classification. You have an institution or a spiritual town, it's all institutional classification. That's all period. It's all kind of level down to a certain
bracketed
together, right? So I think instead of wasting energy on to make a very perfect master plan, we should actually look, this is what it is, and let's coexist together. These are the things we want, and we should use that master plan to define what we want, put that, capture that, and give it. And I think that to a certain, the master plan has done its job. Now using that credibility, or what to say, the blessings what we got from the central government, we have to take it to the state government. And I can also assure you the Town and Country Planning Act, whether it's NTTA or whatever it is, unfortunately in 2019 they created a rule called the TNCDPR. And it looks like they had even returned to TDC, and we missed the bus. So we have been clubbed with any other towns in the state. And we have to show ourselves within 4 or 5 classifications. That's all we have. And you have a common FSA of 2, residential zones have only a FSA of 2, which means in 1,000 square feet land, you can only build 2,000 square feet. So forget about line of force, forget about this, right? So now we need to really go an extra effort to make sure that what we are. But is there another options? I think there are other options also. More and more looking from outside, I feel we should actually identify ourselves, go and get one classification, at least if not NTTA, get an institutional use classification, and within that get a sanctity as an architectural master plan, and look at it as an architectural project, and start working within ourselves. Outside world, nobody is going to be like, if you say it's going to be 10th floor or 9th floor of line of force, the government is not interested, right? All they need is, have you got a permission? Because we are the governance structure. Have you informed us? Have you told us what is the capacity of electricity you're going to use? Have you informed what is the amount of water you're going to use? Have you told us what is the impact you're going to make on mobility, the amount of traffic? I think that's what the current government or what the system is interested in. So somewhere I think we should not get this thing delayed. I think we are spending too much of unnecessary time on that. Get that make that handshake, get it there, and we should start moving forward. Otherwise it's really not really worth sitting on the master plan itself for 20 years. It doesn't make sense at all to me.
Well,
and the DDP, I think I can understand your position. I was also in the same place and the same questions were, so I don't see yourself. I see myself.
The same question. What is DDP initially?
So yeah, best of the luck for making the DDP. So I think there are many versions of DDPs. So yeah, I think the master plan, let's not spend time on it. And definitely I think we should be focusing on getting that land by whatever. And it's a blessing, at least we have the Indian government, kind of looking at this project.
Yeah.
So somewhere we should be looking at seeing how we could get with the lands. But in the land in such a way that we don't antagonize the local population. That is very, very important. We should not be seen as some kind of a land grabber or somebody who is kind of imposing something on the local population. I think the goodwill of the local population is of paramount importance. And land is a very fundamental topic because it borders on human rights, historical memory, quite a lot of things, right? So how do we get it? Probably it's time we have to be creative, see what we try to get out of it. I think we should be able to explore, all avenues to really work on getting it in a very honest way, within the rule of the law. Yeah.
Thank you, Sreevatsa. I think for the goodwill of the locals, perhaps what is even more important is that we set the right example. We show that the project that has been, the land that has been already acquired is rightly put to use. That will perhaps give them some motivation to let go of their other spare land.
See, one thing which I'm really concerned, especially post-COVID, is, somewhere the outside world has come to a conclusion that this is a kind of a very unique town where we could come and spend time, right? In fact, one of my friends, when they called me, they said, do you know Foot Street? We would like to explore Foot Street. I said, Foot Street? I've never known. Where is Foot Street in Pondicherry? They said, no, in Auroville there's a Foot Street. You don't?
Where is Foot Street? I don't know where is Foot Street.
The Foot Street is from Certitude to Quilapalyam. It's now known in the outside world as a Foot Street.
Wow, okay.
Right? So I think when you actually move in that direction, definitely it has repercussions on real estate, the kind of people you bring, and a lot of other things, right? Now, let's say you go to a place like Tirupati in the hills, you have a piece of land, right? You automatically, because of how clearly it has been defined and how the kind of people it comes, even a private person who wants to really want to be with it, tries to relate to it, right? So you get that kind of, even whom he might be a corrupt politician, he might be a person who is not inclined to you, but when he looks at it even as a real estate, he looks at a project which is in alignment to that.
True.
He doesn't look at putting up a Foot Street in Tirupati. I don't think so. That's how. So I think somewhere it is very important that we define what we are, right? And unfortunately, I don't think so. We have been able to do it. And if you have Foot Streets today being classified, probably the biggest problem when we were in TDC was actually we used to look into the Google Maps, to find out where the routes are, how people get in. So we used to see where it could be worked out and other things. And you could see every month new things popping up in Google Map within Auroville. So pretty soon I think you'll have a Foot Street mark there in the Google Map. And how do we reverse it, right? Yeah.